I'm here because I'm one of the assistant editors for the book, Regeneration. It's been a fabulous event, and I'm helped also organize a little bit of it. I'm also co-founder of Intergenerational Foundation. So all of this ties very well into it all.
Let's deal with the event tonight and the book. What were you dealing with particularly?
Well, I wrote the foreword for the book. So in the foreword, I tried to essentially explain what the reason is for a generational lens, if you want. What are the benefits? Because I think in this country we've been very well versed in class issues and seeing things through that lens. We've also had a long debates on other aspects of looking through gender and race, etc. But the generational thing is still new. People aren't really sort of well versed in it, and actually the questions tonight reflected a lot of that.
Yes, some people are suggesting tonight perhaps the intergenerational framework isn't that useful.
Yeah, they were, and I think they're wrong. I think you could be facetious and say that any kind of new lens will add something, but actually, I really think that the generational lens diagnoses problems that we currently have in a way that can't be solved really through any other means and mechanisms. I mean, if you want to understand, housing, if you understand how young people are going to have families, you really need to look at this through a generational lens to understand the mechanisms of how young people aren't seemingly able to get into housing, right? So that's really the strength of it.
So to come on to the Intergenerational Foundation, then you're one of the co-founders of that. How did it come about?
The foundation itself basically came about partly. I mean, I met Angus, who's one of the main progenitors of all of this, because of the fact that I'd written, co-authored Jilted Generation, which, as the title suggests, is about generations, and especially how the younger generation had been, as we put it, jilted. But really, the book was an exercise in comparing people living at different times. So, what was it like to live as a 20 to 30-year-old, 30 years ago, and what is it like now? For these very basic things, jobs and housing and the general sort of outlook and our inheritance, if you want. So that's where I came from, and that's how I met Angus. And it's been a wonderful 12 months. I think it has been. In fact, it's almost 12 months. Yes, in March.
And the way in which intergenerational politics works is that it's long-term thinking, which doesn't sit well with current political setups. Do you see any influence being made in Parliament already of the Intergenerational Foundation?
Yes, actually. Only sort of, I think last month, Grant Shapps, the Housing Minister, took up one of our policy proposals for allowing older people to downsize. If we do have a housing crisis, then, and you have a lot of older people living in these not vast houses, but with lots of rooms, where younger families need the larger rooms for that. Then how do you solve that without sort of taxing people out? Let's say that's one answer, but perhaps you can also help people to downsize. So the government's taking that on. On a larger scale, we've seen Ed Miliband, for example, actually do a speech on the Jilted Generation. So that's affecting policy, and we know it's having a sort of a mind shift, actually, interestingly, as the advisors for those in government are themselves kind of 30, and they're going, hang on, we can't do these basic things either. So it's transformations happening almost week by week, day by day.
Great. Well, thanks very much for talking to us tonight.
Thank you.